Good day, everyone. Thanks for joining in. This, of course, is another installment of Passages in Pranayama, where today we're going to discuss Omar Khayyam, who is an 11th century astronomer and mathematician and poet, or at least we think he is. There seems to be some debate on whether or not he had written this series of quatrains that we're going to discuss today. In some ways, I certainly hope so. I was having this thought today, studying him a little bit, mildly familiar with his work. He recently came up in a discussion I was listening to, and I was like, I'm going to check this out now, many years later after having first been exposed to his work, even in a very mild way that I had been in originally. I was reading through and I was looking at the word mathematician, and I could not help but think of magician. And there's something about him that, upon, kind of reading through his bio, if you will, there's something very magical about him. And when you read the poems, there's obviously, I would say, all of poetry, there's something absolutely magical about it. And certainly Omar Khayyam's, he doesn't, he doesn't lack magic. Let's just put it that way. These passages, I should say, are from the quatrain in which he had, again, it dates back to the 11th century. It's probably somewhere around Iraq. Potentially, he spent some time in what is modern-day Iraq, modern-day Uzbekistan, largely the area known once, long ago, as Persia. And we pick up on his work, really, we're at the 27th quatrain. And I'm going to read through, about a dozen or so, let's say. And we'll see what we get to. I'm taking some liberties here on my understanding of his work. I think with most, if you're going to look at anybody's work, especially when it comes to poetry, is that you're interpreting it as, maybe through the lens of which you commonly study. So obviously, I'm going to look at his work through the lens of a yoga practitioner. So it begins, the 27th quatrain. Myself, when young, did eagerly frequent doctor and saint, and heard great argument about it and about, but evermore came out by the same door wherein I went. With them the seed of wisdom did I sow, and with mine own hand wrought to make it grow. And this was all the harvest that I reaped. I came like water, and like wind I go into this universe, and why not knowing, nor whence, like water willy-nilly flowing, and out of it, as wind along the waste, I know not whither willy-nilly blowing. What, without asking, hither hurried whence? And, without asking, whither hurried hence? Oh, many a cup of this forbidden wine must drown the memory of that insolence. Up from earth's center, through the seventh gate, rose, and on the throne of Saturn sate. And many a knot unraveled by the road, but not the master knot of human fate. There was the door to which I found no key. There was the veil through which I might not see. Some little talk of me and thee, There was, and then no more of thee and me. Earth could not answer, nor the seas that mourn in flowing purple of their Lord forlorn, nor then of the thee in me works behind the veil. I lifted up my hands to find a lamp amid the darkness, and I heard, as from without, the me within thee blind. Then to the lip of this poor earthen urn I learned the secret of my life to learn, and lip to lip it mourned, while you live, drink, for once dead, you never shall return. I think the vessel that with figurative articulation answer once did live, and drink, and the passive lip I kissed. How many kisses might it take and give? For I remember stopping by the way to watch a potter thumping his wet clay, and with its all obliterating tongue it murmured, "Gently, brother, gently, pray." And has not such story from old down man's successive generations rolled, of such a clod of saturated earth cast by the makers into human mold, and not a drop that from our cups anguish in some eye, there hidden far beneath and long ago, as then the tulip for her morning sup of heavenly vintage from the soil looks up. Do you devoutly do the like till heaven to earth invert you like an empty cup? I almost got through it without making any mistakes. All right, well, there's actually a lot to pick through here, and hopefully I get through a good portion of it. And it begins on this 27th passage. Myself, when young, did eagerly frequent doctor and saint, and heard great argument about it and about, but evermore came out by the same door wherein I went. So to me, this quatrain is describing, although I feel like there's two main, if we're going to equate it to yoga, there's two paths it seems to take, and that is jnana yoga and bhakti yoga. That is the path or yoga of wisdom or knowledge, and then the path or yoga of devotion, right? And love. And right away we see the doctor and saint. So, reading through all these quatrains, and this is a really wonderful section because there seems to be so much to talk about in terms of yoga, but it really kind of sets us right on the right path. Doctor and saint. Doctor, science, knowledge; saint, spirituality, devotion. It seems to just cry out jnana and bhakti, wisdom and devotion. And of course it goes on. Well, so myself, when young, did eagerly frequent doctor and saint, and heard great argument. So, like, the maybe Taittiriya Upanishad. I wish I knew my Upanishads a little bit better, but that's what's coming to mind right now, where they discuss higher and lower knowledge. Right? Lower knowledge happens to be study of the Vedas. Higher knowledge is the transcendence of knowing, right? Of having to study. It seems to be a path that a lot of us have to take. Certainly myself, right? I love to study, right? Love to read and and really dig into philosophy. But a lot of times we can get really caught up in all of that language, all of those words that are explaining experience from somebody else's perspective, right? So, we must move from being the doctor to eventually become the saint. And the same principles are essentially laid out in the Bhagavad Gita, if you're familiar. All right, and heard this great argument, right? This great argument between the two. But yeah, again, I'm taking some liberties here, but the argument here in our own mind, right? Is it how much do we need to, kind of read through? It's like that Zen koan of someone's borrowed light, right? It is we must enlighten ourselves eventually, which eventually Khayyam gets to, which is nice. Okay. About it and about, but evermore, came out by the same door wherein I went. The way I kind of view it is that, you come in one door, you go out another door. Nothing has really changed. It's, and maybe if you are a practitioner of yoga, you might really know, even if we're working with the physical body, how much time it might take for the body to make significant changes. Right? In the beginning, if you're a yoga practitioner, it's wonderful, right? Those changes might happen quite often. After a year's time, things start to plateau a bit. Right? But it doesn't matter, right? It's like you keep returning to your mat. Right? You keep returning to, it's like meditation as well, right? The study of the self, right? Transforming one's behavior. It's not as if you can just flip a switch and it simply happens. It's something that you have to remain consistent with. Right? You have to, there's a certain level of not just self-discipline, but a willingness to return. These same concepts come up in the Yoga Sutra, the Hatha Gita Pradipika, where, you can't give up. You got to keep working for it. You got to learn to love the work. All right, in 28. Okay, with them the seed of wisdom did I sow. There you go. So now, okay, he comes out. He leaves that door. Things kind of remain the same. But with them the seed of wisdom did I sow, and with mine oath from the doctor and the saints, if you will, that wisdom, that seed that one is given, you've got to pick it up on your own, right? You got to take your own path. And as mentioned, right, you can't use someone else's borrowed light. Let's learn to enlighten yourself. It goes on, this 28th quatrain, and this was all the harvest that I reaped. And in quotes, the final line, I came like water, and like wind I go. There's a few thoughts that certainly come to mind. One is that of detachment, right? Just kind of like letting things go, or really kind of an essential ingredient to transformation, both in this, kind of lower realm and the higher realm. But so I came like water, and like wind I go. Also, it reminds me of a few passages from the Tao Te Ching, just kind of allowing things to wash over you, right? You have control only over your own actions and behavior. Right? You don't really have control of the environment around you, right? They're going to impose, right, their own actions and thoughts upon you. Like water, right? A lot of times you have to let it wash over you. You can't fight the wave, right? You got to go with it. Right? And like wind, this idea of just kind of like, kind of letting go, right? Just letting things kind of pass, allowing things to wash over, letting it be, let yourself fully digest what's going on. And the wind part of things, allowing things to just kind of pass and almost move through you, if you will. I think more from an existential point of view, though, this idea of, water, again, referring to the Tao, maybe the 8th chapter, right? The ocean is the mother of all things, right? The idea of over the beginning and the end, although in many ways we are beginningless and endless. The 29th passage goes on into this universe, and why not knowing, nor whence, like water willy-nilly flowing, and out of it, as wind along the waste, I know not whither, willy-nilly blowing. Certainly beautiful quatrain there. There's no doubt about that. I love the imagery, the universe, right? Again, these universal laws, they're right. We're part of those laws, of course, right? And like that wave, like that water, the more we resist it, the more stress comes, the more discomfort comes. The more we can kind of open the mind to the subtle fluctuations of the universe, the subtle movements of the universe, the more likely we are to move in concert with them, and things become harmonious. In 30, he goes on, and I'm going to read it in its, I shouldn't say original, because obviously it was trained in English, but I'm going to better define some of the words used in effort to find clarity. So, 30. What, without asking, hither, hurried whence, and without asking, whither of that insolence? Okay, so I just basically updated or defined some of those more antiquated words. Okay, so that first line, what, without asking, here, hurried, from what place? And I'll continue and get back to it. And without asking, to what place hurried in the future? There's, so again, you kind of hither, right? The definition hither, here, and from whence, from what place? And that second line, we have withered and whither and hence. Okay, so to what place are we being hurried into the future? And I kind of love this idea, right? So what, without asking, here, hurried from what place? There's something about the human mind that, with its amazing ability to reflect on the past and project into the future, as that second line says, and without asking, to what place hurried in the future? Those frontal lobes of ours, right? It's what really sets us apart from most other animals, is our ability to imagine what might be happening in the future, taking, all the information that we've had in our memory, right? Past memories, put it into an equation of what's happening into the hindrance, right, to our mental balance. We can become easily unbalanced by creating expectations that are either difficult to meet, or we might in the future not meet those things. And of course, if we do not meet those expectations, we might find some level of suffering. So, going with that flow, being in the present moment, right? These are platitudes that are repeated over and over again for a reason. And 31, up from Earth's center through the seventh gate, rose and on the throne of Saturn sate, and many a knot unraveled by the road, but not the master knot of human fates. I'm just going to deal with those last two lines, although I'd love to get into the first two, but since I conjured up the Tao a few times, The third line, and many a knot unraveled by the road, but not the master knot of human fate. All right. So that third line, and many a knot unraveled by the road. The Tao, the translation of Tao is sometimes a journey, right? The way, or the road. And this is like kind of fits perfectly. Again, am I taking liberties? I don't know what Khayyam's, intention was. So this is my lens, and many a knot unraveled. Right? In yoga, right, the knot, the granti, right? These are the knots, both in the body, right, the mind as well, right? So and many a knot unraveled by the road. The road, again, the journey, again, the translation of Tao is sometimes the road, the path, the way. Right? The road, the journey that we're on, this road that we're on is through deeper wisdom. Right? And maybe through this wisdom, we learn to untie those knots, those grunties that cause great physical or mental suffering. And then it goes on, but not the master knot of human fate. So, as I mentioned earlier, there is the borrowed light from the learned sage, the wisdom we get from, whether it's Vivekananda or Patanjali or whoever else, right? Lao-Tzu. Like, we're borrowing their wisdom, right? But not the knot of human fate. So, yeah, we can read the Tao, right? Just like the Tao says in the very first chapter that I refer to quite a lot, right? The Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. Right off the bat, Lao-Tzu is like, you're reading these words, but this is all from here all the way to the 81st chapter. It's not the Tao. You got to practice it. Okay, so, but not the master knot of human fate. That's something that we must practice, right? Through meditation, right? Through our yoga practice. Okay. So, well, I suppose we should get on to some pranayama. Maybe what I do is continue next week. That'd be kind of good. I really like these. So today, right, so these are written in, you have the first two and the fourth line rhyming. And that third line is, kind of out of the ordinary. Right? So we're going to do a form of Samavritti Pranayama, an uneven breathing practice. It's going to find yourself at all kind of out of rhythm, out of step, thinking too much. Your respiration seems a little bit out of step. Just move back into your normal breathing, right? Maybe take just a few deep breaths. Right? If this pranayama becomes a little bit too challenging. Right? And if it is, all the better, right? This gives us an opportunity to work up to something, right? It's good not having the ability to do everything, that's for sure. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a 5-count inhale, a 5-count inhale retention, right? An 8-count exhalation, 5-count exhale retention. We'll begin with 3 deep breaths. I'll coach you through. I'm going to do 5 rounds of the Samavritti Pranayama, all right, that I just described. Then when we finish, we'll do 3 rounds of breathing, right, just full inhales and exhales, and then a few moments of quiet meditation. Sit up tall if you'd like to take Gam Mudra. Ears, shoulders, hips aligned, little Jalandhara Bandha, chin down, chest up. Let's move to an exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And inhale. And exhale. And we'll begin. Let's inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 1. And inhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Good. And loosen control of your breath, but keep your mind focused on your breathing. Let's stay in the moment. Find clarity and calmness. Learn to be harmony with your environment.
Into an exhale. Deep inhale, shoulders rise. And out your mouth, exhale, shoulders roll back and down. You can blink your eyes open, and thank you so much for joining, listening. I do hope it was a fruitful experience today. And again, I think we're going to continue with this next week, so I do hope you'll join. Peace.